Are how many participants are here? Okay, almost everyone is here, looks like. Hello, everyone.
Yes, yeah, everybody there.
Yeah, we can start then. So let me share my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. I believe you guys had a good and long weekend. Although in these times, no one wishes for such long weekends because we have already had so long holidays. At least I wish to work all night, day long now. Okay, where we were. Okay, I just turn off and put in silence. Okay, yeah. Okay. I asked, we were talking about timing issues, and I asked you guys to read about something, set up and hold time. Did you? How was it? Okay, who can come forward and explain me what is setup time? Don't type because that takes a lot of time to TikTok, and write. So it's better that you just come on the audio. Hmm. Am I audible? At least say yes or no on that. And hello. Am I audible today? Because I'm not using my office network because uh, the office network is slow today, so I'm using my personal network. Wow, Anusha has typed in all of them. Okay. Hold time is the mere amount of time the data input should be held steady after the clock event so that the data is really sampled by the clock. Hold time can be negative, which means the data has energy. Wow, looks like a perfect definition. Just straight from the books. Good. Okay. Anyone else? You guys can come on the audio and explain. That will be more faster. No, you wish to type? No problem. I wait. Okay. Let's not kill time because I'm strictly against of killing time and doing time pass just to ask questions so that let me know how many of you have not clearly understood what do you mean by setup and hold time. How many of you can just say yes or no? That's a nice one, Maya. Just say no if you have not understood what is setup and hold time. Or I presume that everyone is very good on setup and hold time. What? Am I clear? Ah, yes, everyone, Archana, Jayan, there are so many people in the group, right? Where is Rafael? Rafael, Yashwani, Rohan Reddy, Praveen, Pooja, Nishit, Prithvi, Srinivas, Ramya, Venkatesh, Kasta, Rakshit, before, yeah, that's a good definition, Anusha. Infant, it's infant, Nuthan. It's not infant, and that is small kid, no, right? Got me. Yeah, there's so many in the group. What? You're all abba dabba jabba? Can't speak? Please come forward if you can come on the audio. That'll be great. Just a second. I think it's working. I just check my audio is working okay or not. How do I do that? Yeah, it's working good. Yes, all are ready. Okay. So let me ask another off the bounds question, that in setup and hold time, you must have seen that all of a sudden, uh, the flip-flop is not made of anything of memory element. Technically and physically, there is nothing as such as memory in digital electronics. There's nothing as such as memory, which can really memorize stuff, okay, by construction, by constructions. Let me explain what I mean to say about it. Let me open my board and share it. See, even if you take any kind of latch, okay, and even an RS latch, okay, something of this kind. So technically, it is not a memory, right? Technically, it is not a memory by construction. It is memory by function, okay? It's memory by function. So similarly, and flip-flop which are made, okay, they are made by looping around the inverter, right? So they just inject the value, whatever they want to store, for example, 0, okay? So it will keep on looping around forever. This will become 1, then this will become 0 again, forever. So it will keep on circling, okay? The value will keep on looping around forever. So this is memory by function, not by construction, because at the end of the day, they are just two inverters, okay? So taking it further, let us see that how does a latch can be made using only inverters, okay? So if I have something like this, is this construction okay to everyone? Is this construction okay to everyone? Okay, so what happens over here? So this is your D input, okay? And this is, let's say, clock 0, and this is at 1, okay? This is at 1. So what will happen? You have a D input, okay? Then you have a clock. Right? This is your clock. Now, what happens is when clock is 0, what happens? See, when clock is 0, okay, you can put like this, that this switch is closed, okay? This switch is closed when clock is 0. This switch is closed. So this switch is closed. So what is happening? The data goes inside, okay, and loops over here and waits till here because this switch is open. This switch is open. So what will happen when the clock comes to 1? So when clock comes to 1, this guy becomes open and this guy gets closed. Okay, this guy gets closed. Now, at this point of time, the last value over here was 1. And the new value over here is also 1. So technically, there won't be any issue over here. Okay. So what happens? This guy gets closed and the value will keep on looping forever. Okay. Now, this is the point. Okay. This is the moment when the latch closes its gates. Okay, it closes its gates. So whatever the last value of D would be there over here, that would be stored in the latch forever. Okay. Now remember, these switches are nothing but your MOSFETs. These switches are nothing but MOSFETs, and they are generated a control like this, that you have and clock over here. So this is your clock non-inverted. Then you have the clock bar, which is the inverted one. Okay, and these two are used to drive them. So this is one guy. This is driven by this guy, clock inverted, and this one. Okay, this is being driven by this guy probably. Okay, then what? Then these are switches. They are switches simple, that may be in buffer switches like this. Okay, which are shorted like this. Okay, drain source are shorted, which are in parallel of NMOS and PMOS. So they can be shorted and form any kind of switching purpose. Okay. Now what happens? The happening is, have you guys ever went to a building or any store, shopping mall, or any hospital or any place like this where they have a glass sliding door? Have you guys seen it? Have you guys seen that, there is a building like in bank, in restaurants, or in some fancy building, okay, wherever there is a glass door, glass panel door, and when you stand in front of it, it closes, okay, and when you stand in front of it again, it opens back, right? So simple and cute door it looks like. You need not to touch anything. It was designed in such a manner that it can be all social distancing advantages. Okay, but now let's talk in the sense of gating logic. Okay, so imagine that door, you see it from very far away. Okay, and what will happen if you just run through that door with your maximum speed? What will happen? Will you bang the door, or you will just pass through the door? Nothing will happen to you. What do you say? What will happen if you just see that door, the wooden sliding door, and you just run through it? What will happen? Yes, you will bang the door. That's very obviously, because the door has some setup time. It has some time to which he recognizes the input, then he opens the gate, and then he allows you to in, and then you can pass through it. The same is with the latch. Okay. So here the latch is like, if this is my data and this is my clock. Okay. So at this point of time, my latch is, he's doing two functions actually. He is closing this guy and he's opening this guy. There are two things he's doing together. So the user says that it is possibility that for a moment of time, both are closed. There's always transition of phases. First one door closes, then second door opens. So the first thing has happened first. This door has closed. This door has closed. Okay. So obviously this door was previously already closed. So for a moment, these two inputs or these 2 points are shorted. Now there is no problem at all because you are feeding in one over here. So 1 goes here, you get 0, 0 comes here, so you get 1 here. So there's absolutely no problem because 1 is shorting with 1, no problem at all. But this guy says that, boss, when I was about to latch, this guy says that if you were doing this thing, something like this. If you're doing something like this, that when I was about to close the door at the same point of time, at the same moment, you are changing the D input. So what will happen? I latched 1 here. So 1 came here, I mean, did it went to 230? Okay. So he says that I transferred one here. So one come back and here one. Now I have closed this door first. So it was saying that one to be returned. And at the same time, you change the input to 0. These two inputs will get shorted. So things will not work properly. So the latching may go wrong. Okay. So that is why the flip-flops have two things. Setup time, okay, which is like if you have the data input and a clock input, okay, and this so just before this time period, you know, before applying the clock edge, the D input should be stable for a moment of time. Okay, it is before the clock, so you should not change after this line. You should not change the data input. So this is called as setup time. This time period is called as setup time. And the same is true for the after the clock edge. So just after the clock edge also, you should not change the D input. And this is called as hold time. So simple. Okay. So any doubts, questions over here? If you have any doubts, you can come on the voice or type as you like. So just to have clarity, what will happen if I set up and hold time are violated? Will there be an explosion? Will there be no storage of data? The flip-flop will turn angry. What will happen? Tell me. Was I audible clearly on my quest? Hello, guys. Some answer. Some answer, not necessarily right or wrong, doesn't matter. Something. Just to know that how you look at the problem. Huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Data won't be stored reliably. Okay. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. Glitch. Okay. Have you heard of this Are you guys familiar with this? Metastable state or metastability? Just a couple of yes or no will do, so that I just get an idea that was it covered in your syllabus or not. So the flip-flop might enter. It is like it may enter into metastable state. That's great. So metastable state is where the output is neither 1, neither 0. It is neither of it. Okay, so it is in between 0 and 1. And moment the flip-flop enters into that state, the entire CMOS chip may come down. The entire chip or any of the function block of the chip may burn off completely, because what will happen, the entire chipset will come into an oscillation. Okay, and what states it may land up into or recover into, it's nothing predicted or nothing known. So definitely the entire system may collapse, and the results may be disastrous, and that's why no one prefers to go into that state. If you must have noticed that when you operate your computers at some very high speed, okay, or let's say even your mobile phone, sometimes when you tweak in the mobile phone and ask him to go at a turbo speed and go at the maximum speed possible, so what happens, sometimes your mobile phone jams, okay, it stops responding, it just freezes. So whatever the input or stage of it was, it will stay over there. So that is one of the symptoms of the metastability. Okay. So that is why setup and hold times are always tried to be met and are avoided to be ignored. Okay. So that is why in timing analysis, this path is taken maximum care of, and this guy decides the maximum operating frequency, which is called as clock to setup path. Okay. So let's have a look at how it is being calculated. So if you see this, let's see a little bit of animated behavior. So we have, sorry, okay. And by mistake, I clicked stop button. Okay. So just notice here that there are two stage flip-flops, and the first stage flip-flop launches the data and gives to the second stage flip-flop. So the first clock edge is given to this first stage flip-flop, and the data will be available at D1, output of D1, where is Q1, okay, after the delay of TCQ. So after delay of TCQ from here, the data Q1 would be stable. Now Q1 is over here. So when Q1 is stable, output D2 of the propagation delay block is available. Okay, but after delay of TPD. So after delay of TPD from here, D2 is available to be stored. Okay. Now, can we store this data, D2 new data immediately? No, we have to wait for the setup time and then we can capture it. So that's why setup time. Okay, so that means from here to here, the distance is this, TCQ plus TPD plus T setup. So when you add all these three delay, you can find out the maximum operating frequency of the circuit or the minimum clock period of the circuit at which it can operate. Okay. So if you know these things, so how you can reduce clock period or how you can improve the frequency? By keeping the logic gate depth shallow as much as possible between the flip-flops, okay, and to avoid heavily loaded gates, okay, and you can always duplicate the fan out, okay. You can always duplicate the logic to reduce fan out, which obviously always help to improve delay and also the power consumption both. Then you can always do the pipelining of your circuit, okay, to improve the throughput, but definitely a latency is impacted. You guys familiar with pipeline and latency? Pipeline and latency, are you guys familiar? Okay, how to deal with setup and hold time violation. Okay, generally it is the clock frequency. The software tools, they are smart enough to know that, okay, what is your setup time of the circuit? Okay, so they know what the kind of components you're using and what are the setup time requirements of that particular device. Okay, so they let you a warning signal. So whenever you tell them that, yes, I plan to operate at this particular frequency, you have to change the logic in between. You have to reduce the delays and try to get your desired delay values. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of EDA tools, that is electronic design automation tools. So I won't cover much on this. They are very simple to understand some logic. This was a little bit, I thought, if you guys are not familiar with tools and how they started, so that we can talk about it. So these days, every design process is with the help of softwares, okay? And they are really very efficient and easy to make. So without the possibility of softwares and the computers, we couldn't have designed so much complex logic circuit in these times. So all thanks to this. Okay, so these are what EDA tools, they help us. It is like automatic transmission as compared to manual transmission. Some examples, okay. So they do it in a very careful manner. Okay, so now the question comes up that when you use an EDA tool, something new in your life, okay, how do you learn these EDA tools? So the learning of the EDA tools is always self-assisted. So if you look around, so 80 to 90% of the learning of this tool will be always from the self-assistant. That means self-learning. Okay, you can always get help. For example, today you're sitting with me, so that means you are planning to learn a new EDA tool, which is for layout designing. But I would be able to teach you something around 15-20% of the software tool. Okay, and the rest of the stuff will come from your own self-learning. So that means the tool should have something right balance between the design features it offers and also the learning curve. Someone wanted to speak something in between? I heard a sound. No? Okay. And Macrind is also one of the softwares like this. Macrind is an CMOS layout design and simulation software. Design is exclusive for submicron and deep submicron CMOS layout design. Okay, we'll go through it. So there are some features and etc. That's a flowchart. I will cover all that stuff. Don't worry. So we will cover step by step all the flowcharts related to Macrind software. It is also supported by some literature books like Basics of CMOS Cell Design and Advanced CMOS Cell Design. They are very good, and standard books are available from Tata McGraw-Hill. Really nice books. And a couple of few chips are also being manufactured using Macrind. As fabrication is a costly affair, so you should be able to get a good sponsor who can, support your fabrication budgets. So here are some fabrication projects which have been done using Macrind. Okay. So as the industry is progressing very fast, so you need a more faster practice because you have a semester-based system and hardly you get a practice time to learn about subject in a deeper manner. So Macrind will always be focusing more on design process rather than the tool learning. That's what the motive of this entire course would be, and it is actually that we will be focusing more on design issues rather than the software issues. I won't be even talking about software features in detail or maybe marketing or promoting the software. No, we will be only doing the design process. Okay, so as it suggests, let's start with the design process. Let's start with the introduction of the Macrind software. and start something learning about it. Now, tell me guys, all of you have installed Macaroon software at your place? Last week, I gave you a link to download the software and also the license file. So I hope you all of you have downloaded the software and installed it at your place. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so I just opened my Macaroon software. Okay. I would recommend that you guys can just keep your hands off from the mouse and just have a look at the screen so that I can just cover some conservative to Macaroon. I will give you ample amount of time to practice at your place and do some stuff using Macaroon. Don't worry. You'll get an ample amount of time. Okay. I hope you are able to see my black screen, which is a Macaroon layout. Can anyone say yes? Okay, that's it. Okay, I got it. So this is how the Macaroon software screen looks like. Okay, and okay, I just take the screenshot of it. Okay. So this is how the Macaroon screen looks like. So on the right hand side, you have a palette window from where you can access different layers. So all of these stuff, what you see are the various metal layers. Then this is a polygate, and these are diffusion layers. Okay, these are all layers available from your palette right hand side. Okay, and on the top side of it, there are some virtual simulation inputs and virtual content making shortcuts, all that stuff. Okay. Then on the top side, they are just a toolbar over here. Okay. So which is very easy to access. Okay. And some compile menu, etc. Then what the screen, what you see at the back type is a P-type substrate. Okay. That is what you assume, that is a P-type substrate. And on top of it, the transistors would be laid out for the fabrication process. Okay. Okay, so let's make something out of it. So let's, on the day one, you keep your hands away, and hold your excitement and anxiety in case if it is popping up for a while. Just have a look, understand the steps involved and some tips and tricks behind it. Then I will give you ample amount of time to practice this, don't worry, okay? So let's say I want to make an NMOS transistor, okay? So I just take an N diffusion, draw block, simple, no dimension, no nothing. I just simply randomly take some rectangle and make it the N diffusion. You don't follow it, just have a look. Keep your eyes on the screen. Then I take the tin gate and draw something in between. That's it. That makes an NMOS transistor. Okay, this is a drain source and that's a polysilicon gate material. Okay. And if you take a 2D, this is how it looks like. So your drain source, okay, thin channel region, polysilicon, silicon nitride capping, all that stuff which we talked about are present over here. Okay. So let's say I want to simulate this. So I take a square clock, connect to the one side of the terminal. Then I take the visible node, connect the other side of the terminal. And I take the VD supply and connect to the gate. So this guy is always on now. Then I can change color with a click of a button and see the simulation graph easily. Okay. So what do we see here? For 0 input, we get 0. Okay, but for like the input like 1 volt, I don't get a 1 volt. I get something 0.6 volt, 0.5 times, which is approximately 6.6 volt. Okay. So let's keep it this way, no problem. I just redraw something, other stuff. So I just go to file, new file, don't save the file, okay, and make something out of it. For example, I use this MOS generator. So on the MOS palette, you see a transistor-like symbol, okay, a MOSFET-like symbol. You click on that, it will pop up a window, and he will ask you that, okay, what do you want to do? He will say that, okay, you want to make a MOS transistor, then what size it is? So I can specify the dimensions in either in micrometer or in lambda, either of it, as I like. Okay, so let's say in micron, I just say 1 micron is the width of the MOS and 0.04 is the length of it. So I just place it on the board. So this is how it look like. And this is PMOS transistor. Place in the clipboard side by side. Now to join them, I take the tin gate and join like this too. Okay. Then I click on metal one and short these 2 points. That's it. Now I'm ready to apply a stimulus input and see how do they work. So in the palette itself, you see a VD supply. Left click on it and left click on the N well of the PMOS. Select VD again and then on the PMOS. There you get the VD. Then take the ground symbol, connect to the other side of the NMOS. Now I can take a square clock, apply to the gate. And I can call it as like clock A. Okay. And this is node I want to observe. That's it. And change the color, simulate it. So after a while, you can see the rise time is 2.3, the fall time is 1 picosecond, and this guy works great. Okay. So first of all, let me know, did you guys catch this? If I ask you that, okay, try making on your own, will you be able to do it? Can I get a couple of yes or no? Okay. No problem, Nihal. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's do in a follow-up mode. Okay. Open your Micron software. I also close my this and I keep it, bring it fresh. So this is how my Micron software looks like. You guys also open your Micron layout software. Let me know when it is done, when everyone has opened this layout software part. It looks like a U-like symbol. The shortcut has a U-like symbol. Is it done? Have you guys opened it? Yes, guys. Have you opened Micron layout software? Can I get a couple of yes or no? Great. Okay. So I will ask you guys to do a follow-up round. Okay, you have to do the same steps as of me. So on the bottom side, you should be able to see 45 nanometer technology. So that will ensure that both of us are working on the same technology. Okay. Okay. Now you will see a palette. There's a floating window on your right hand side. You must see that the palette. In case someone doesn't see, prompt me. Otherwise, I will continue accordingly. Okay. So you will see a transistor like symbol over there mentioning on pop-up as an MOS generator. Just click on that. Do you see this kind of window? You should be able to see such kind of window. Okay. So you must be seeing a width in micrometer, right? You must be seeing the width in micrometer. So that's okay. Let it be like this. There is no problem with that. I think it should be 0.12. If it is not, just make the width of the MOS as 0.12 and length as 0.04 and make sure that the NMOS is selected, not PMOS. Okay. And tell me what is the current value do you get? It's okay. 5 lambda, let it be 5 lambda, no problem. Just in case if it is lambda, change the unit to micrometer and make the micrometer length width as 0.12 micrometer. Okay. And select NMOS. The current should be 0.073. Do you guys also get the same values or it is different because the weather is different at your place and mine? Okay. Do you guys also getting the same values? 0.073 micro milliampere? Okay. Then just click generate device and place on the clipboard. It should look like this. Left click again on the clipboard. Okay, done. Just zoom out a little bit. Just click minus minus for a while and just bring it down of your screen. Just make it like this in your screen. Just say minus minus and just use the arrow cursor keys to adjust on the bottom left side or somewhere on the bottom side of the page. Now click the MOS generator again. Click the MOS generator from the palette again. Okay, once it is done, click on PMOS and also on the current value. Left click on PMOS, select PMOS and also left click on the current value. So it will update the current value. So you see the updated current value is 0.043 milliampere or 43 microamperes. I hope everyone got the same. Width and length is same. There is no change in width and length. Let the width and length be the same as the previous one. Say generate device and don't left click now. It should show something ghost kind of image and you just keep it in the center, align with the previous NMOS. And when you see aligned it, then left click and make it placed. Okay. Once it is done, okay, guys, I do one thing. I just clear my screen and repeat everything again for me. You guys don't clear. You can start from where you left. Okay. So when you open the micro screen, click on MOS generator. The default value is NMOS, so let it be NMOS. Okay. And make the width as 0.12 and let the length be as the default value, which is 40 micrometer. Okay, 40 nanometer. Say generate device and place on the clipboard on the bottom side. Then I do it again, MOS generator, select PMOS, click on the current value. I see the updated current is 43 microamperes. That's okay. Dimension is same, 0.12 by 0.04. Generate device, and I don't left click. Instead of that, I just drag the mouse and hover it around. When it is centered with the previous NMOS, I place on the clipboard. Okay. Is this okay, everyone? Nihal? Okay. Now, left click on the palette as a metal one. Left click on metal one only once, and then draw a box like this. Do you see in the ghost mode? Draw a rectangle like this. It will short the PMOS output with the NMOS output. Okay. Now left click on the tin gate. Left click on the tin gate, not the tin gate 2. Only tin gate, the first one from the bottom, the red layer. Okay. And then draw a box and join the gate material. Okay. Has everyone done this? Nihal, you can do undo once. All the layout designers, they don't allow much of undo. They don't like that concept in over here. Is it done? Shall I proceed? Okay, great. Thank you. So now let's apply signals to the inverter and let's see how does it works. So what I do, over here on the top of the palette, somewhere the top side of the palette, you see a single first button, which is VD supply. Left click on that once. Okay. And then you will see in hovering ghost mode. Then when you left click once, it will be placed over that location. So left click on the anvil. Okay, so that is to bias the substrate or the fourth terminal of the MOSFET. This is a substrate. And left click again on the VD, and this time place on the PMOS second terminal. Okay. Then select the ground and place it on the NMOS other side terminal. Is it done? So we have connected supply and grounds to the inverter. Now select the clock signal, not the pulse, clock signal. and connect the gate terminal. So this is a signal generator from where you can apply various signals to the design. Okay. So let the name be clock 1, no problem in that. Just make the time low as 1 and time high also as 1. Don't touch the rise and fall time. Only the time low and time high as 1, 1. Rest all values be intact. And assign it. So we applied a clock to the inverter. Now take a visible node and connect to the output. Okay. The last signal, I mean this one, visible node, which looks like an eye. Left click and left click on the output node. Has everyone done this till level? I wait for a few seconds and proceed. Is it done, everyone? If it is done, you can just proceed ahead by clicking on this simulation button, run simulation. And you can run it for what, 5 or 10 nanoseconds. And you guys can tell me what is your rise and fall time values. I wait for your confirmation. You guys are able to do it now. Okay, after the VSS, you have to take the clock. I just okay. So after the VSS, you have to take the square clock from the palette. This is add a clock. Left click on that symbol and left click on the gate terminal. Then type the values low and high as 1, 1. You can call it any input like A, B, input, V in, anything like you like. And assign it. Then click on the visible node from the palette. You know, the last corner symbol, which looks like an Trinetra, it looks like a visible eye. Left click and left click on the node on which you want to put a label. So I just put like V out. That's it. And you can change color if you want by pressing Ctrl W, and it shows in black and white. Change the time scale to 5 or 10 nanoseconds. Do you get this, Swami? That's good, Nihal. Anyone else? The rest of the team? Rest of you, Swami and others? Okay. Output next, sir. That's it. After the output, you have to just simulate this button. Run simulation. There's a play like simulation button on the top of the toolbar, and just click on it and it should run and simulate. Got this? For the rest of any one of you who was not able to do it, I just quickly repeat all the steps. Anyone who is not able to do it? Anyone? Anyone who is not able to follow it? No. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's take a short break of 5 minutes. In that break, you guys can repeat making the inverter. Just clear it by going file and new. Just clear it and redo it again. Okay. You have to redo by going to MOS generator, select NMOS. Okay. Place on the clipboard. And again, MOS generator, select PMOS. Place on the clipboard, select the tin gate. Short them out. Select metal one. Short them. Take a clock at the gate. Make as 1 nanosecond, take a visible eye, connect to the output, take a VD for the PMOS, take a VD for the substrate, and a ground for the NMOS. The sequence can be anything. Huh? Obviously, first construction, then the assignment. Then you just change the color for faster responses, and you see the output. That's good. Okay, so this is working. Now you can take a virtual capacitor and place it to the output. You see over here on the palette, you see a virtual capacitor. You take it, place it on the output, let the value as default value is 0.01, let it be like this, and you run it. So you see some impact is there on the rise and fall time. So we take a short break of 5 minutes, and after the break, we talk more on it. Okay. So you guys also can just stretch yourself and do the exercises which are populated on the WhatsApp. Okay. And I also just see some people in the office. See you in 5 minutes. Hello, boys. Hello, everyone. Okay. Let me know when everyone is here. Everyone is here? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good to see you in voice. Good to hear. How about others? Okay. Okay. Any doubts over here on the inverter? I think it's simple. I mean, there's nothing complicated. Okay. Now tell me that when you see this layout and when you attach in capacitance to it, why the delays are going up? I mean, I know it's a very basic question, but still I thought just to have some chit chat before I put a pedal. Yes, guys. Why the delays are going? Okay, time constant or capacitor. What else? Yeah, that's correct, because as we have attached a capacitance, so capacitance, as there is increase in capacitance, so obviously every capacitor takes some time to charge, okay? And as the capacitance value increases, the charging time also increases, but the charging time is also proportional to the amount of energy which is being poured inside the capacitance, okay? Remember, for example, there is a glass, okay? I have a glass, okay? And I'm just pouring the water drop by drop, tuck, 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 okay? So it takes, let's say, 5 minutes to fill this glass, okay? So that's okay. So 5 minutes at a speed of tup tup, okay, at a drop by drop. Now I increase, instead of this glass, I take a bigger glass, a jar. Now how much time it will take? If there is the same source of energy, so obviously instead of 5 minutes, it may take even 50 minutes to fill up that jar, okay? But instead of that tap energy, if I, have something very powerful energy as a source, for example, a tap of water, I just open the entire tap. So what will happen? This glass will fill up within few seconds, isn't it? And the jar will also fill up, let's say not in few seconds, let's say at the max of 1 minute, okay? So filling up the capacitor, yes, the time constant increases, but time is also proportional to the amount of energy you are using to pour or inside the capacitors. That is, the energy means the current over here, okay? Voltage and current both. Okay, so let's take it further. Now I apply a capacitor to the micro inverter and just see it going. So the rise time is 132, in the order of 130, and the fall time is 78. So at least I see two changes. One, that there is an increase in time constant of the rise and fall time. So that's okay, because as the capacitor has increasing, the time constant will also increase. but the time constant for rise and fall time are different. For rise time, it is 131, fall time is 78. Why? Although both of the transistors were of the same size. Yes, guys, what might be the reason? I hope I was audible and okay. But Nihal, don't you think that there's the same capacitor attached to both? In the same inverter. There is no different capacitors attached. There's a single capacitor for the inverter. There's no change of the capacitor for charging and discharging. What's your comment on that? Yes. Anyone else would like to put a comment on it? You guys can come on the audio. That's more faster and easier. Not necessarily that your voice quality has to be very good. And neither I'm asking you to sing in a singing answers. So you guys can tell me. Yes, anyone? Oh, at least say no, I didn't, I can't understand the question, or I'm not sure of the concept, or maybe not sure of the question. Anything you have to talk, all right, at least, so that I'm not just waiting for sticks here. No? All right. No problem. That's nice. Okay. See, I believe you are able to see my whiteboard, and I have a glass of water. Uh, Not water, I mean, it's a simple plain empty glass. Okay. And I'm just filling up with a tap from here. Okay. And tap, it is filling up. So what will happen? This glass will fill up in 1 minute. Let's say assume this in 1 minute. Okay. And I just make a drill at the bottom of it so that the water can fall out. Okay. And here also tap, the water is dripping out. And let's say the earlier water level was this much. So what will be the water rate? What will be the water level of this glass? Same, it will increase or decrease? Anyone else? Okay. Yes, it will remain same. Okay. This. So let's say I have another glass. I have a drill here. Okay, and I have a tap here. And what happens? I do two things. So this tap, I just close it and open it. Okay. So it just they tap tap tap. It just fills the glass. I allow for 1 minute to fill. Okay. And okay. And then what happens? I just close this hole in the glass where it was leaking with the same water droplet. So what will happen? The water level, if I give him 1 minute to fill up, so after a minute, let's say glass fills up. So this is my graph is, the graph fills up. It reaches to a level in a given 1 minute. Then when I allow him to open the drain, I just close this tap and I allow the water to come out of it. So after 1 minute, okay, this takes 1 minute to discharge. So this is your nothing but rise and fall times. This is my rise time and this is my fall time. Okay, so I believe you're familiar with rise and fall time. So the rise time, okay, it is the time it takes to reach from 10% to 90% of the value. You guys familiar with, right? And fall time is the opposite of it. How much time it takes from 90% to 10% of the value. Okay, that is called as fall time. Now a question comes up that this was the same setup I had. This is the same setup I had. Okay, this is a tap and also a drill over here. So, okay, everything was the same. Now what happens? By mistake, someone does another hole over here. By mistake, you tell, or maybe by intention, you tell, whatever it is, he makes another 2 hole. Okay, so what happens when I give him 1 minute to fill up? Okay, so I get something like this. And while filling, the holes are closed. While filling, remember, the holes are closed. No doubt on that. Okay, this comes as 1 minute. Now, how the fall time of this guy will come? It will be like this. It will be like this. Or something like this. Which one? Maybe you can tell me that, okay, this was the earlier one. This was the earlier one. 1 minute, which takes to discharge the water. Okay, now tell me what will happen. Which one will happen? Which one? Orange, blue, or green? You have made 2 holes. by mistake or by intention, whatever you call it, but at least someone has drilled one more hole at the bottom. Good. Okay, orange. Yes, that's true. He will take less time to discharge. He will take less time to discharge the water because there are the two holes. Okay, so he might even take only a half a minute. Okay, that's it. Okay, so keeping this logic in our mind, we come back to the layout example. Okay, I believe you can see this graph. Is it possible to? Yeah. So here you see the rise time is 132 and the fall time is this. Now the rise time is because of the PMOS. The fall time is because of NMOS. Remember? And the NMOS had the current of 73 microamperes and the PMOS had around 40 microamperes. You remember this? Isn't it? 0.073 and 0.04 milliamperes, right? So that makes 40 microamperes and 73 microamperes. So obviously, if NMOS has higher current, okay, so he will discharge the output more faster because he can carry more current through it. He can pump out more energy through it. So obviously, he will discharge the output load capacitance much more faster than the PMOS. Now, as PMOS has less current, okay, so that's why he takes more time to charge the capacitor. If provided more current the PMOS can pass through, so he will charge the capacitance much more faster than the NMOS. Is it clear, everyone? Great, thank you, Nishit. Got it. Okay. So what I do is, if we have understood this, so higher the current, faster is the rise and fall time delays, right? Okay. Now there are two things. One, the rise and fall time of this inverter are not matched up. One, they are not matched up. They are not equal. Ideally, technically, they should be equal. Otherwise, it is not considered as a good design. Okay. The people say they are not good one. Okay. So you have to make it equal. So in order to make equal, there are two ways. Okay. Acha, sorry. One thing, they are not equal. And second thing is that how you can make them equal. So to make them equal, there are two ways. One, I just increase the width of the PMOS and allow him more current, or I increase the length of the NMOS and decrease the current. Looks like I forgot to tell you guys about the W/L ratios. You guys familiar with W/L ratios? The current is proportional to W/L ratios. Yes, no? Others? Okay. Then I'm sorry for that, and I'm sorry to miss that. Okay, and let's start again. Not start again. I mean, like, let's cover this. While generating this thing, you must have noticed that there is something which is like the width and length of the NMOS and PMOS. Someone wants to speak? Okay, so here is the width and length of the PMOS and NMOS. As you know that in this case, over here, let's say if we talk about an NMOS, okay, so this is called as width of the NMOS, and this is called as the length of the NMOS, okay, and the current produced by NMOS is proportional to the width of the PMOS and inversely proportional to the length of the MOS, okay, PMOS and MOS both same, okay. So as you will increase width, the current will increase, obviously. And as you increase length, the current will decrease. That is why what they are doing is they are reducing the length. You see, they are bringing it more smaller. Okay, they are trying to, if this is the where they are trying to make it more smaller and smaller and smaller so that the power consumption, I mean the current values, they increases, the current increases, the speed increases, everything is good, everything is working in a beneficial manner. Okay, so that is why the length of the transistor, they are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, now they are two things. Now in case of PMOS, okay, in case of PMOS, the current is proportional to the current of the PMOS is proportional to the width by length. In case of NMOS also, the current of the NMOS, the drain current in both cases is also width of the NMOS by length of the NMOS and the width of the PMOS by width of the. Okay. Array, if the equations are same, then why they are different currents? Because we kept the width and the length parameters the same. Yes, no. We kept these two as the same. You remember 0.12 by 0.04, 0.12 by 0.04. Then what? Then what is the problem? Anyone? So it is not only the width and the length of the dimensions, but also the mobility of the carriers. Is the mobility of the carriers. So in this case, they are holes. In this case, they are electrons. And as we know, as electrons has higher mobility than the holes, so obviously this guy wins the race. This guy will win the race if they are of the same size. Remember, if they are of the same size. Okay. Anyone has any doubt? Good. So, wow, that's good here. I just saw the chat box. So you guys are familiar with this concept. So that's fantastic and this is beautiful. And that's good. Anyone has any doubt on this? No? Okay. That's good. So in that case, in that case, petrol engine, you guys know petrol engine. I have a 1200 cc petrol engine. I have a same 1200 cc diesel engine. Which one would be faster? Out of the box question, just to know how well you guys know about the basic fuel materials. Anyone would like to say about the diesel engine would be faster, sir? Anyone wants to conflict and take a challenge that no, sir, diesel would be faster? You don't know the diesel engine yet. I have driven so many diesel engine because wind diesel is faster, hence diesel engine will also be faster. Anyone would like to make a comment on like that? No? Okay. So yes, diesel engine will be faster. And why is that? Because the torque of any engine is faster initially. Initially means what? Like during the power on, while the first 0 to 50 kilometers per hour, in that case, no. If they are of the same cc, they won't be at lower revs. Okay. So in case of torque produced by any engine, let's say it's proportional to the volume, right? When you say 1200 cc, that is a volume, and volume is nothing but the width into height into the depth. I mean, it's a circular cylinder, the engine cavity, in which the combustion happens, and it is the volume which is being mentioned over here. Okay, so it is the volume into the combustion engine. I mean, the combustibility of the engine. The ignition of the fire in the fuel. Okay, so obviously, if they are of the same size, in case of diesel engine also, it will be the volume of the engine into the combustibility of the fuel. So here in that case, this is diesel. This guy is diesel. Okay, and diesel has a lower combustibility as compared to petrol. So obviously, if there are two engines, one petrol, one engine of the same volume, so obviously the petrol will outperform diesel anytime. Okay. So, okay, now what it has to do with microwind, what it has to do with this thing. So same is with the PMOS and NMOS. Okay, sorry. So it is the mobility of the holes. This makes a difference. They are slower than the electrons. Hence, NMOS has more current as compared to PMOS if they are of the same size. Current over here, you can always relate to torque of the car. Okay. So, क्या करें? If I'm a car manufacturer, let's say Maruti, okay, which has both types of car made, diesel and petrol, both, everything, and I just discovered, that, oh my God, the mobility of two engines are different, and I have to make an engine. I mean, I have to make two segment of cars, one petrol and diesel. Okay, and what shall I do? Okay, what shall I do? So I find I cannot change the combustibility or the inflammability of the petrol and diesel. I cannot change because that is the basic nature of the material. I cannot change that. I'm not the Lord nature. which can make changes, but definitely I can change the volume. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay, guys, take care. Okay, so what shall I do? Okay, same question I came across with NMOS and PMOS. Okay, the PMOS and NMOS, when they're equal, the current of the PMOS is less. The current of the PMOS is less as compared to NMOS. Okay, so I have taken an objective that the current of my both transistors should be same. That's it. That is my objective. That is my goal. That the current of my both transistors should be same because I want the same rise and fall time of my inverter. Simple as that. If I want the same rise and fall time, the current has to be same. So what can I do? There are two ways. Either I can slow down the PMOS by increasing the length, isn't it? So the current over here is proportional to W by L, right? Current over here, drain current of this guy is also W by L. Okay. Mobility is constant in both the cases. I cannot change that. So what let's do? I just keep the W by L here constant, and here I just increase the length so that the NMOS will become slower, and it will match up with this. Or I increase the width over here and keep this guy constant. So I have only two options available. These two combinations are possible. Either increase the width of the PMOS and make it more current, or increase the length of the NMOS and make it less current. Yes. Okay, I put this guy as option 1 and this guy as option 2. Which one you will choose, 1 or 2? Option 1, increase the width of the PMOS and make it more current, or increase the length of the NMOS and make it less current. Make it slower. We will make NMOS slower. इसको थोड़ा धीरे कर देंगे. Make a choice. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Which one? Okay, I got 3 ones. Yes, there are so many people, I think more than 25 plus. 22. What do you think, rest of the people? Okay, 2 is catching up. Come on, 2. Come on, come on, come on. Increase, increase, increase. We should have a fair fight. Okay, why not 2? There are so many ones. Why everything is thinking in the one biased direction? Why can't we increase the length of the NMOS and make it slower? Yes. All the people who are saying 1, why 2 is not a good option? Why there is so much biasing, popularity? Anyone would like to put his comment? Okay. So yes, 1 is the right answer. Okay. Because we know that the area of any MOSFET would be width into length. That is the area of the transistor. So in case 1 also, my area will go up. And in second case also, my area will go up because either of the factors I'm increasing, isn't it? Either I'm increasing width or either I'm increasing length. So in both the cases, my area of the inverter will increase. And when you are investing anything, okay, when you are increasing width and length and the area is going to significantly increase, so why not to make things better? Why not to make things better? Why to make it slower and worse? Okay, so this is no technical knowledge, but this is a logic and common sense that if you are increasing something, so do it in better, isn't it? It is like what you study in such a fashion that it will always help in your life. Okay, we don't study which is garbage and which is not going to come to any of our use. Okay, anyhow, so let's proceed. So what we can do is we can, okay, increase the length of the PMOS to increase the width of the PMOS to match with the NMOS. So if we go back to my generator and I see this was 73 milliamperes, okay, so I will make another PMOS which will be also of the same value. So I say 0.15, no, 16, no, 7, yeah. So at 0.17, I get the value which is close to the NMOS, which is 75 milliamperes. So I generate and place on the clipboard. Then I take the delete button and delete some layout. Then I take the copy and stretch and move option, Then draw a box, select this, it comes into ghost mode. And I just write it on top of it and align it and paste it. Then I just connect the VDD to the PMOS1 terminal and VDD for the envelope. I change my color. And there we can see that the rise and fall time comes almost of the same order. In fact, the rise time is better now as compared to fall time. Instead of 73, it is 75. Okay, so it is close enough to fight for. Did you guys got this concept? That's one. Anyone has a doubt? Anyone has a doubt or something which you like us? I can give you a couple of minutes to follow the same stuff. You can make it at your place and see it. Till the time I just write the assignment of yours. Guys, let me know if you have done it. Okay, guys, these are a couple of assignments for you guys. I mean, they're not much. It is just to practice so that you just practice on micro, that's it. I mean, it is not significant yet, but good enough to practice some concept on micro. And I shared a file also. Not Nishan, should be to everyone. Okay. Yes, why not, Nihal? Okay. So let's say this was my previous inverter. So what I do is first I can even delete. I can take the delete button and just delete only that part of the PMOS. Let that red and blue line above, okay? Then I go back to MOS generator. Then I just, adjust the size of the PMOS to produce a current of 73. Okay, then I just change to 0.15. I'd see at 0.17 micrometer, it gives me close enough to 73 microamperes. I just use a device and place it just exactly on top of it. Exactly on top of it so that I need not to join them again, okay? Then I take the VD supply from the pallet and connect to the NVEL VD supply and connect to the PMOS one side terminal. That's it. Now, as these are previously attached to the nodes, I need not run them again. And when I simulate, so this is what I find. So this is what you have to practice again. This is what you have to practice today, today and tomorrow. So that day after tomorrow, when we meet, you will be a little bit leveled up on micro and practicing. Practice, damage something, try to, destroy the software, no problem in that. Okay. And try to explore on yourself. It's good if you know some things which you don't understand, that's okay. And because slowly you will start joining the jigsaw puzzle and the whole picture would be very beautiful. Don't worry. Okay. So let me know if anyone has anything which needs to be discussed today. Otherwise, we just wind up for the day. And the day after tomorrow, we will again start with micro and practical hands-on session. Now, henceforth, there won't be any boring lectures or any of the concept. But yes, you're most welcome to ask me questions. And I will appreciate a lot if you guys ask questions. Yes, okay. So anyone has any doubt, question? Nihal, is that steps were cleared? Nihal? Okay, that's good. Okay, guys, chalo, let's sign up for the today and see you after day after tomorrow. That is on Wednesday. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.